Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Programming with a Purpose. This is the lesson 9 in our series of iOS development using Swift. So first we are going to create a playground file like we have created previously with the name inheritance. After that, we are going to discuss some of the terminologies that we are going to use frequently during this lesson. So first is a base class. Base class is also known as a parent class or a super class. So any class that we declared at first is the base class. And subclass is basically the class that is inherited from the base class. So this is how inheritance works. It is a relationship between a base class and a subclass. What can be inherited in a subclass is basically methods or properties. So here I am going to create a class with the name ingredient, and it is going to contain certain properties. And after that we are going to create an enum of a certain type that we are going to use inside our class ingredient. So first create ingredient with the name variable name string, and after that let's declare the enum. Enum is basically of name measurement, and it has three cases. Case number, which is basically a count of a certain thing, like it is basically a count, or the case is a tablespoon or a teaspoon. That is going to define in which of the measurement we are going to use the ingredient inside a recipe. So after that we are going to basically create an instance of our class ingredient. Here we are creating an instance of our class ingredient, which is basically of the name cinnamon, and we are going to initialize it with a certain name and a measurement. But since no initializer is created inside the class ingredient, it will not allow us to basically call it with a specific parameter. So here I have written an initializer. The measurement will be .tablespoon, and we are going to add another variable to our class ingredient with the name of isGround, which is going to basically show us that the ingredient is in ground form or is used as a whole. So here isGround is set to true. We are also going to update our init method with this specific variable that we have just added to class ingredient. So isGround is set to whatever is passed inside the init method. So this is how we are going to create an instance of an ingredient, and after that we are going to print the value of cinnamon.measurement, which will be tablespoon. Next we are going to create a class recipe which will act as a base class in our case. Here we are going to specify some of its properties, such as name, which is of type string, a variable ingredients, that is an array of our class ingredient. Here you can see that this is basically the composition. If you are aware of this concept, inheritance and composition are basically connected concepts but somewhat different. So a recipe will composed of ingredients. So here we have created an array. After that we are specifying the variable preparation time and cooking time, which can be supposed in terms of minutes. So we have declared it as int. After that we are specifying another variable serves, which means that how many people will be able to have that recipe. So here we are creating a class soups, which is basically a subclass of recipe, and here we are specifying its variables, which is basically cuisine type, which can be of type string, or a specific enum. And after that there is another variable that is basically spice level, which is integer, which is set to 0. So it can be like mild, medium, hot, or very hot, and you can specify its level according to an integer 0 to 3 or 4, whatever you want. So here we will create an instance of our class soups, and after that we are going to get some of the values from it. But first we need to create a method inside our class recipe with the name of function prepare. So it is going to get the ingredients by creating a constructor of an ingredient class. So basically it is going to call the init method of ingredient with the name salt, measurement.tablespoon, and isGround is equals to true. Now it is going to append that to our ingredients. So here it is that ingredient we have created is appended to our ingredients array. Here I am going to show you how you can override a function or a property from a base class. So here I am overriding a function prepare, and with the override keyword you can basically update or modify the functionality of your base class function according to your basically subclass needs. So here I am using the function. I have printed super.ingredients and nothing is printed. So I have called super.prepare first, and after I have called it so an object is printed on our console. After that we are iterating over the ingredients with super.ingredients and printing its name. So here the ingredient will be printed which we have appended in our base class as salt. So it means that we are able to access the properties of our base class in our function prepare. After that I am going to basically modify these ingredients. So here I will be getting those ingredients from the super class inside our constant ingredients. After that I am going to append another ingredient to it. It is going to give me an error because I am trying to append something to a constant which is not the default behavior, so we need to make it as a variable. Here I am introducing another variable inside my class ingredients which is basically count, like what should be the count of the ingredient in a certain recipe. So here I am updating its init method, and here I'll be mentioning count is equals to 1. So it means that chicken of 1, we can assume that measurement can be set as another subunit like .kg. So 1 kg chicken will be an ingredient that is added for a class soup inside our ingredients of base class recipe. So here for ingredient in ingredients we are printing all the ingredients, so salt and chicken is printed. It means that the override function is working properly. After that we are creating another class that is basically the soups will now act as a base class to this veg soups class. So you can see that a subclass can further basically extend to other subclasses. So here it has a variable type of vegetable soup which is of int 0, and after that we are going to override a property of soups. So what we are going to do here is basically we are overriding our spice level which is an integer with super.spice level plus 1, whatever the spice level we are appending 1 to it. But here it is stating an error, cannot override mutable property with read only property spice level. So here we have only mentioned a getter but not a setter, which means that it is not a mutable property, which is obviously a problem because the spice level in our soups is a mutable property. So we need to set a setter also. Here we will get another error, and please think about it how we can fix it. First look at the error. Function call causes an infinite recursion. Why do you think is this error and how it can be fixed? The actual reason of this error is basically this variable. So it means that spice level can further be cannot be assigned to spice level inside the veg soups, because it is going to then go into an infinite loop and update its property, get the spice level, and it will be stuck in a recursive loop. So we have removed it, and after that we have created an instance of veg soups and printed the spice level. So here you can see that the value of 1 is printed, which is the expected output of this setter function and a getter function. So you can see that if we print the spice level of the soup, which is the base class, it is printed at 0. So it means that it is updated in our override property of spice level in veg soups class. So here I am stating what is the purpose of the final keyword. So I have set a certain property as final, and here I am going to basically change it using a getter and a setter. I'll receive multiple errors and I am going to fix all of those, and once I am done it, you are going to see that it is going to produce an error that cuisine type is final type and you cannot basically override it. So let's see how it's done. Follow all of these steps and see the error, which will basically tell us that with the final keyword you cannot override a certain property. So with final keyword you cannot override a method or a property. So if you do not want the functionality of a certain property and function to change inside subclasses, you need to mark it as final. Just like method and properties, property observer can also be overridden. So basically you can override a property by overriding its property observer. Like if you want the ingredients to be sorted in ascending order, whenever anything is inserted, you are going to write a did set that is going to basically update the ingredients and sort it in ascending order or descending order. So this is all for the lesson number 9 in this series. I hope you have learned something from it. Do post in the comment section if there is any ambiguity and share it with your friends. Subscribe to my channel and thanks for watching.